we're going to see if you can show your mom some stuff. All right. I sent her mom a message and said, I think that's still on. That's our tiny town camera. So, jumping, puppies, right? I ignore, I don't look at. As soon as they get off and have 4 on the floor, then we can start looking at them. Good. Off. Yes. Okay. My nose. Get off my nose. I'm looking at her tail set, her ear set, her eyes. This is a dog that previously actually would want to just bark and growl and kind of react to people. And the fact that she's in a room of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 people and didn't react once, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. So, and again, jumping up, I don't actually look at her. I don't want to give her reinforcement for that. When she sits, I can look at her. So, yes, good girl. You've done this really, really, really hungry. All right. So next time you might do half a dinner. Some of that we have to play with too. I want her extra hungry with people. So food is obviously a powerful motivator. So you want to find something that the dog actually wants to do stuff with. And for me, haha, is she following this? No. So if she likes it, she wants it. If you go in front of a dog's nose and they're like, it's probably not high enough value. Or if they're like, oh, that's kind of cool, but no business for it. Probably not high enough value. So for class next week, find something the dog really likes, and we start looking for it. So she really wants the chicken, right? But how, can anybody remember the very first thing I want to work with? What's the very first thing I want you to go home and work with homework-wise? Eye contact, right? So if she's not looking at my eyes, if she wants to look at the food instead, she needs to look at my eyes. Yes. And she was doing everything in her power to try to get me to look at her, right? Jumping out, like crazy. I want to jump at the hand. But as soon as I looked at her, and she looks up at me, she hears that magical word. Now, what you can start associating her eye contact with, or your dog's eye contact with, is their name. How many of you actually use their name for eye contact? Or how many of you would like them to have eye contact with their name? So, if I actually have food off to the side, or have it on my side, or have it behind my back, if she looks at me, it's Rumi, yes. And then I move my hand. So, I want you all to kind of pay attention that, what does she look at? Rumi, yes. And then I move my hand. Far too commonly, we're in the motion of doing this right away, and where's her eyes? Right? So instead of thinking I have to, it's going not there. Instead of thinking I have to actually work her and feed her right away, I want you adding those 4 steps. I want you thinking that this is the last thing she thinks about, even though she really wants to think about it first. Yes, I want just eye contact. I also want eye contact from the left and the right. Oh, did you find it? Finally. I also want eye contact from the left and the right side. So if I take her and I actually help her, good girl, and help her over to the right side and pull this away, then I get eye contact that's a little bit further back, but that's okay. Yes, and I pay that. So again, right now, I'm just yesing and paying. But what can you do is you can actually start associating her name with it. Good. And I don't want to call her when she's distracted. I want to whistle and get her attention another way. Rumi, yes. Because eventually, I actually would like her to come when called, right? So I don't want to have her teacher to blow me off by calling and calling and calling and calling, and she doesn't listen. No, that's all I'm saying. It's very food motivated. So there's the left side. Rumi, yes. And then I pay. So food is not a bad thing. Luring, what I'm doing with her, luring her, is not a bad thing. I want her actually then looking for it though. So here's the lure, but what do I want her looking at? Me. So not the big bag, which she knows is on that side, but me. Rumi, yes. Because then she gets the food. Okay? So instead of treat focused, have them be you focused. And that's actually where you start with all of your training. Yes. There you go. And why did I say yes? It's because she was like, guy in a hat, people over there. Yeah, make the right decision, girl. She's like, okay, I can do this. So we can bait her. Yes. Go in the middle of people and be okay with it, right? And so all of these things develop that training relationship with the dog, right? So she's hungry, she's offering good behavior, off, yes. And she gets paid. So off is another cue. So eye contact, off, quiet, sit, down, touch, and recall. and the collar game, are actually all week 1 homeworks. So do you do them all at once? No. You do them in 2 to 3 minutes, focusing on one concept at a time. We're throwing them all at you tonight, but eye contact is great. So that can be Rumi, yes, and peg. And then you would give your dogs after moving it to all these new spots, right? So even if I come over here, yes. And even if I go this way, yes. I'll take that and turn your back on everybody.
Have you seen her tail wag, Julie?
Huh?
Have you seen her tail wag?
Who?
When she sits down,
Oh, yeah,
her
yeah,
butt doesn't
the
go all the way and her little tail's on the floor.
And what is the sign of a happy working dog?
That.
Okay, I'm doing it right? I'm doing it right? Yes, you are. You catch me. I've been practicing trying to like do this, and she's like, I'm not sure yet. That's okay. So, eye contact. You move to new spots, you do it in every room of your house, you do it for 3 to 5 minutes, and then you give them a break, right? Because then, once you give them a break, it takes a minute. So she's a puppy, I can work her a little faster. But, yes, there you go. But just the decision to come back, it's paid. You can't guess them too much, even if I don't have a cue for that right now. So if she's going that way, I could introduce call here. Rumi, come, yes. So that motion to me is come and call. So eye contact's the first homework, but then you can start recalls. I train by myself, so a lot of times I do something like this. Toss it that way. Rumi, come, yes. And come back this way. I am exciting. I try to be more exciting. I try to be very like, hey, you want to be over here, you don't want to be over there kind of person. So that if she gets into trouble, so say she were to react to somebody, I can get her back. That's my goal. Instead of like, oh, you have to worry about those people. No, come back to me, I'm more fun. Yes. You know, look at somebody over there, but look away from them. You don't have to worry about them, right? So a lot of times I'll bait them by tossing them forward. And when she's done, Rumi, come. Yes. I change my body so that sometimes I'm running away from her and sometimes she's coming to me. Because a lot of times, how many of you are like, come? We push them away by leaning over. So my encouragement would be, if you're going to do something like that, Rumi, come! Yes! So that she can come into you and be comfortable. Your dogs can come into you and be comfortable coming into you. And it's not bad, but what do you think the dog anticipates when you lean over for them? Probably something like that. Catch me if you can. Any of your dogs play catch me if you can with the collar? So that leads me into the next game. So eye contact, practicing recalls, just basic recalls. Rumi, come! Yes. To start having her think about what come when call means, it's motion to me. But then having her Rumi, come! Collar! Yes. So that I can touch the collar and then she gets yes and paid. So eye contact is separate, recalls are separate, but then play the collar game. What if I want to go over here? Collar? Yes. What if I want to go this way? Collar? Yes. What if I want to go in the corner? Oh my gosh, it's really scary over here by the hat guy. Collar? Yes. And she's like, well, this is a fun game. It's okay, I can do this. Good. Oh, you did me. No, I didn't say yes. So, collar games. Teach them to enjoy having their collar touch. Because what happens, look at his brain, I see that. If I even have to walk her, I'm like, let's go, let's go. Yes. In daycare, we walk your dogs like that a lot. If we have to bring them up for dinner, if we have to bring them over here to get them to come home. So some dogs play catch me if you can, or nope, don't touch my collar. But we try to make it fun. Hey, you want to go home? You want to go home? Let's go, let's go. You guys can make it fun too. I hope nobody's ever in an emergency. I'm going to digress for just a minute to give her a break, but also to tell you the story of what happened to me 3 months ago. I was out with Harper in the front yard. We have a country house, or well, I share a house with a roommate, but huge front yard, driveway, busy street at the end of it. And I was video recording my dog, and I rolled my ankle into a little divot in the ground, and you see on video my phone go flying, and it landed in the grass somewhere. And then you hear me crying. And it's actually a video that I posted because I thought it was important. My dog at that point because I called her to me, came and called. I asked her to search my phone, you know, and she was about 11 months at that time, just starting to do her search cues. Tried to find it, couldn't find it. I didn't know where it was, so I didn't know where to point her in what direction. And we wound up actually, about 3 or 4 minutes of it. You hear me just kind of like finally get to the point where I can sit up. I see my little black rectangle, and I point in that direction, and then you see Harper go over, and her whole mouth goes over the phone. She brings it back to me. Heaven forbid you're in an emergency, but what if you fall, or what if you're in an emergency, and what if somebody has to grab your dog? That's the point of that story. What if somebody has to direct them somewhere? What if a stranger, I mean, heaven forbid her mom's never in that situation, but if she's already kind of stranger danger-ish, where she's like, I don't know, what if someone has to grab her? It could save her life or it could end her life, and we don't want to think in those terms, but it's true. Yes, good girl. But I say that story in that I want people to think in worst case scenarios sometimes, to say, well, what training do I want on my dog? And a basic recall, a collar game, can actually mean, you know, you can tell that person, or if you're not, then that dog at least goes, do I get chicken for this? Yep, you'll get chicken for it later. Or if they're in enough of a habit, okay, where are you going to take me? Because they're training with you guys is what I want from her. Settle. Yes. What? How often do your dogs do this at home and you pay for it? This is what I was waiting for. Just, all right, she can talk for a while. Good. This is settled. And puppy and selling. But how often do we train for the situations that we might not ever need? I want you thinking about some of those things out of the box too. Good girl. Check it out. Yes, that was brilliant. Now what I saw is I saw that the tail stopped and she thought about, she closed her mouth and kind of thought about like, do I want to react or do I not? Because you're looking at her. It's not right or wrong, right? People want to look at her. And she was like, And I was like, good girl. She really? Okay. Yeah, just don't react. You get paid for not reacting. And that's my check it out cue for her. You know, check it out, then come back and you get paid. So all of these things, you can't guess them too much for the right behaviors, for the right decisions. And far too often we always want to correct the wrong decisions, and we really should just set them up for success or redirect them into something we wanted instead. Because I don't want her reacting, so if she chooses not to, whether she's tired, bored, or whatever, she'll get yes and paid. Rumi, come.
What is her name?
Rumi, R-U-M-I. So that when I call her, she comes. So we've set up some of this already, but if you're walking the other direction, if you've taught the habit, she should be able to just come when called, when asked. So she's starting to understand that. But eye contact is a separate session, recalls are a separate session, collar game is a separate session. Off, you know, what she's doing right now, how often have you taught off, which is 4 on the floor in my definition. If she's just sitting, standing, or laying there, and not jumping, this is actually off. Yes. And she gets paid. And how many times have you guys actually taught your dog off, or do you normally say when they're jumping? So in order to teach off, what we want them to do instead, I'd rather go like this. All right, let's go over here. Off. Yes. So if she chooses to sit, stand, or down, she's not wrong. Let's go over here. Off. Yes. Whoa. And then go over here. Off. Yes. Okay, all right. I can do this. I go over here. Off. Yes. Because what does she start associating with that OFF word? Stand there, follow you, sit there, look cute. She's not wrong. And I want to teach her what off means. Because that if she makes a mistake. Hey, hi. You want to come up? You want to come up? She's like, I don't know if I want to come up. You want hugs? You do hugs? You just started this. You were loud. Do you want to come up? She's like, I don't know. Am I? Come on, you want hugs? She's like, I know. I just want to play me for off. As a trick. Come here. Did you hugs? Did you hugs? No. Off? Yes. Oh, okay. She's like, no. Like, that's always you. That's a good girl. Oh, Rottweiler butt. I got the Rottweiler butt. Oh, I got the Ruddy butt. There you go. Yes. So, collar games, recall games, having just fun with your dog, being able to handle them, right? Do all this fun stuff. Oh, it's on my face. It's on my face. yeah. Oh, oh yeah. Oh, yeah. See the teeth? Oh, yes. Because I want to do husbandry. I'm a technician, certified technician. So I want a dog that can lay flat and let me do everything I want to them. Good girl. Butt. I got your butt. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. I got your tail. I got your nubbin. Ha 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 ha. You got it. I got it. I got your nubbin. I got your nubbin. I got itches. Your itches. Oh. What you? Right. Right. Get past. Right. Good girl. There you go. Excellent. Mwah. All right. So, teaching even down, because now I'm here. I like to teach down from a stand, and that was one of my little breaks again in between. So if I have the food in front of her nose, and I bring her nose to the ground, and I push slightly back, I have the whole body typically going to be down. She's obviously done this a little bit before, so your dog might take a little longer, but once she's in this position, I want to pull the food away, because I want her, again, looking at me. Yes, and then I'll pet. I didn't say down this time, because I want her thinking the first couple times you do it at home, just fold in this position, and once you fold in that position and look at me, yes, you get paid. Because then I can start actually cueing it when it's the fastest. And if she folds flat, whoops, dropped a piece, folds flat, and I have my finger this time, because now I changed the picture, down. And if she doesn't do it, I didn't say what yes. Good. Down. Yes. So what did I wait for that time? Did anybody catch? Eye contact. Because she can look away. It just is not my definition. My definition of this position is going all the way down and then seeing kind of a finger point, but then looking at me and going, can I have it? Down. Yes, you can. Because then I can get a more settled down. Then I move to another new spot. We fold. We pull away. Down. Yes. And you see how my body is changing, right? Not that I'm going to stick my butt in anybody's face. Oops, get it. So I'm going to go this way. Good. Oh, I got that piece too. So in front of her nose. We'll pull it a little closer. Push her back just slightly. I do not let her get it until she's fully down. And now I'm standing up. Down. Yes. I'm paying her full. I want her in position, in the definition, before I actually say the word. Because the more you go down, 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 when they're standing, you're actually reinforcing down is a stand. So you also, by saying multiple cues, are teaching them to blow you off. How many of you really want to do that? I'll say down 15 times. In an emergency, I only have one shot. So I want her really understanding what down means. So all of that, we start to develop. Because then we work on stays and weights and things like that. So eye contact, recalls, sits. SIT, yes. You just stopped. But she did it. So if I'm teaching sit, I might go on this side, lure her into position, pull it away. Do you see how similar it is to eye contact? But now this time I'm going to go sit, yes, and pay. She's crooked. It's okay. If I was competing, I'll tighten it up later. Right now, I just want her butt on the ground and her looking at me and realizing that that's what sit is. And it happens on the right side. Oh, over here too. It happens on the left side. Sit. Yes. And then it happens when we walk to a new spot too. You're already ahead of the game. Oh, Mom's seeing this. Let's try again. Here. Good. Sit. Yes. Ooh, that's new. Yeah, goodness, good. Very nice. Let's go. So if you want to start the loose leash walking, you can. And it really is just about making sure the dog sees a picture. I usually hold the leash halfway. We're going to go over this more in class, itself, but We have to first get the dog in position, but then let's go. Yes, and pay. It is as simple as just starting to teach her, yes, to walk next to you on a loose leash. Let's go. Yes. Go this way. Oh, you're backing up, good girl. Oh, she saw it. Rumi, come. Good girl. Let's go. Yes. If the dog doesn't pull, they get yes more. If they pull, so say she was going to pull. So for here, you'll notice I kind of attached to my hip. This soft is so unfair.
And a tile floor.
When she's and a tile floor. When in doubt, use the kitchen. But I want her learning that that's not what she should do. So when she chooses not to pull, this will be leave-ins later on, but we haven't talked to her that yet. That's her focus because she's always used to getting it. But when they're pulling, I stop. And when I stop, and then they loosen the leash themselves. So this might take a couple minutes. But when she loosens, yes! She goes and gets it. Okay. So they see a squirrel. Loosen the leash, and then I might take off in that direction. But it means that it's called impulse control. I want her learning to control her impulse to go forward and not learn to just drag me that way. If you feel the leash tighten, I'm going to stop. You're not going to get anywhere you want to go by pulling you. Because then, if she makes the right decision and comes back, she actually gets paid for it. Yes. You like reading from the same book? She wait, oh, she said, wait, makes the right decision and comes back. Okay. Hold on. Had to process that. Doggy Rolodex. So you can work on loose leash walking if you want, because I know it's always a big thing on people's mind, but it goes with your program. You can't pay them too much. If they're loose leash and you're practicing in the house, practice it, because then it's only going to help you when they come out in here. Eye contact, sit, down, loose leash walking is there if you want to. Collar game, recalls, come when called, off, practice that. Get them everywhere in the house. Go up next to a counter. Off, yes. And then she gets paid with what she wants off the counter. Still we're going to catch you. But far too often, we have stuff on the counter, right? Teach them to go away and sit and be polite, and they get what they want, they stop jumping. It's redirection. This is what I want you to do instead, so do that instead. Because then it's off, yes, and you get what you want. So I practice on all of the kitchen counters, I practice by the tables, practice with people, and then you also do it like on the couches and, on the couches and chairs. If your dogs are allowed on furniture, mine are, doesn't matter, we don't have to go into that theory. If they're allowed on furniture, then lure them, don't say anything, but take a food piece and lure them, and when they're in the act of getting their four paws on the floor, then that's off, yes. Because then they really know without a shadow of a doubt that getting off of the furniture is off, yes. Because now they're allowed up, but if your guests come over, they have to get off. So, making sense so far? And how many of you have barking dogs? Okay, so the very first thing that you guys can also work on, because you want to be able to stop them from barking, right, is don't tell them shh or quiet when they're barking. Actually wait and just do it for food in the morning or whenever you're in your house, and do a 3-minute session of quiet, yes. You see how her ears perked up? Right? Same thing goes everywhere. Ready? Let's go. We go by people. We're quiet. Yes. Okay. Here, let's go. Good. Ready? Quiet. Yes. And where's my food? And where does she look? Quiet. Yes. A whole bunch of this chicken. This chicken like really shredding chicken. Usually it's not so much. Really shredding. But what do I want her to think? What is the definition of quiet? Not barking. So when do I have to teach it? When they're not barking. Quiet. Yes. And if they default to sit for everything, is that a problem? Through repetition, you're going to build a habit of what quiet means versus what off means versus what sit means versus what their name means. Because even just standing there, if she were to look up, Rumi, yes. It just means eye contact, right? Good girl. Oh, you got the ball. I did go get the ball. How'd you get the ball? Oh, you got it. Look at you. You got your mom. Yeah, I got my ball now. Good, good. She's going right. So, and that's how I also kind of end the session, whatever the dog finds enjoyable, because even if it's toys or a bone or something like that, yeah, good job. Because I would do the same things. Good girl. You got your ball. Did you go get it? Did you go get it? Did you go get it? Right? Go get it. Atta girl. Off the wall. Good job. Woohoo! Yeah. So, see everybody, I got my ball. Julie said I did good. And this is the kind of dog that I really do want versus a reactive type dog or a dog that's worrying about things. So I think I saw really